Welcome to today's version of You Can Do It Maths, and we're doing the October-November 2022 paper 13. Let's jump into it. We go shopping first. Right, complete the shopping bill. 2.25 kilogram apples at 280 per kilogram, so that's a simple multiplication. $6.30 it is. 3.2 kilograms of carrots at 65 cents per carrot. Again, simple multiplication we need to do there. Which gives us $2.08. And then we just add it together, so it will be $8.38. Pretty straightforward. Let's check the mark scheme. And we got it. 630 with or without the 0. 208, 838. Right, so Rita is 3 years and 4 months old. Work her age in months. So, of course, 3 years. Each year has 12 months. That will be 36 months. Then we just need to add the 4 months extra, and that gives us 40 months. And we got that one right. Right, first of all, square numbers. Square numbers, of course, is like 1 squared, which is 1. 2 squared, which is 4, and it goes on like that. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 25. Okay, now looking at those numbers, if you don't know your square numbers, it's a little bit harder to find. Remember, the opposite of square numbers is square roots. For example, square root 25 gives us 5. So if we square root those numbers, and it doesn't give us a whole number, they're not square numbers. For example, square root 120, it's not a square number because that gives us 10.95. Square root 121, for example, that is a square number because 11 squared, okay? So the square number is not 11, it's 121. Okay. Is there more? No, that's the only one. Cube number, that's not when we do a number multiplied by itself 3 times, like 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 cubed, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Then 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. Okay, so again, if you don't know your cube numbers, you can do the opposite of cube, and that's cube root. For example, the cube root of 64 is 4. Yeah, not 8. It's not square root, it's cube root. So it's cube root 64, 4. So we can do the same now as before. So cube root 120. That's not a cube number. Cube root 121. Now, let's try 149. Not a cube number. 164. And then it must be 216 cubed. Well, 6 cubed is 216, so 216 is the cube number. And we got it. Right, so here we got a square that's gone wonky. All the sides are the same length, but it's not a square, it's called a rhombus. Right now, the order of rotational symmetry. Now, if I had a little piece of tracing paper and could put it on here, I would. But basically, if we rotate it, how many times will it fit onto itself? So if it's going to rotate, it won't fit, it will fill until that point is there again, and then back around. So it's rotational symmetry 2. Rhombus, rotational symmetry 2 it is. Stem and leaf diagrams, about 35 students, and what they got in the science test. Highest score there being 64, that's the top student. Lowest score 27, the one that didn't study. Okay. So find the range. The range is the biggest value, like I just said. 64 is the highest score minus the lowest. Okay, which is 27. 64 minus 27. What is that? 37. Is it? Use your calculator, don't guess. Okay, but it's 37, it is. Okay, just one mark here, so it's always good to show them working out, but it's not going to count the mark. Mode is the most common number. So in this case, the mark most people had. Okay, what's important to remember is you're looking for numbers next to each other. For example, you're not going to count all the 8s and see how many there is. You need to find them next to each other. So 2 people got 28. 2 people got 32. Okay, but there is one that's more than just 2 people who got it. And this is what I see over here. There are 3 5s next to each other. So there's 3 people that didn't get 5. They get, what? 55. So the most common score that occurs the most is 55. And there it is. Alright, and then the last one, the median, the middle number. So for the median, always you need to range it from the smallest to the biggest first, and then find the middle. Now it's already arranged from the smallest to the biggest. Okay, over here, 27 is the smallest, 64 is the biggest, and everything else in between. There's 2 ways to do this. There's the mathematical way, where you take the amount of numbers there is. Now we know that is 35, because 35 students did the science test. And you add 1. So 35 plus 1, and then you half it to get the middle person. So that would be 36 divided by 2, 18. The 18th person is the middle one. Okay, you have to add 1, or else you won't get exactly the middle. Alright, so here we go. So the 18th person. So let's just start counting them. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Here we go. The person that got 45 for their exam. Okay, so numbers that are smaller than 45 will be 17. So bigger should also be 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17 numbers smaller, 17 numbers bigger. So 45 is the middle score. The other way of doing this is just by cancelling the smallest and the biggest. The second smallest, the second biggest, like this. Smallest, biggest. Second smallest, second biggest. Third, fourth, and then you go back here because you're going from the back. You keep doing that. It has the potential of getting confusing, but remember, you're going smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, until you got 1 left. Then you get 45 as well. Marco starts working at 8:45 in the evening and finish at 2:08 in the morning the next day. He's got a weird job, night shift he's doing. So the number of hours and minutes. So let's do the leapfrog method. So he starts working at 20:45. So let's first jump 15 minutes to the next hour. That's 9 o'clock. Then I think it's a good idea to jump to midnight, which is 24:00. So that's 3 hours. Then let's jump to 2 in the morning. So that's another 2 hours. And then we have time to finish 8 minutes past 2. So it must be clocking in and clocking out. Now we just add that together. The hours is 3 hours plus 2 hours, 5 hours. And 15 minutes plus 18 minutes is 23 minutes. Now we got it. 5 hours, 23 minutes. Question 7, Joe. It's counting nuts in a bag. It's a bit nutty, right? The pie chart shows the results. Measure the size of the angle for the peanuts. So you're going to have to need your protractor for this. I'm going to use an online one here to help us. You get your protractor out. First thing you want to do with the protractor is put the middle of the protractor in the middle of the pie chart. And then you want to rotate the protractor to make sure you have a 0 on a line. So there, you see, I got 0 on that line next to peanuts. Okay, you can do it the other way around as well. Now I got the outside 0 on the line next to peanuts. Okay, so that's two ways of doing it. I'm doing it like this, so the 0 is there. Now it's the inside 0 that's on the line, so I'm going to use the inside, the blue numbers in my case, to measure the angle. So we go 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then from 40 we go into 45, 46, 47, 48 degrees is what I get for mine measured, and that's what we write here, 48 degrees. How accurate do you need to be? Well, pretty much dead on here, it seems. Exactly. So you're 1 degree off. It doesn't seem like they want to give you the marks. So be very precise. Get those protractor exactly right. What fraction of the nuts are almonds? So what information do we have? Well, we know that 120 degrees. That's the information we have of almonds. 120 degrees out of how much? How much is a circle? 360. Okay. It clearly states give your answer in the simplest form. So we have to simplify that. Quickest way to do that is to use your calculator. 120 out of 360, and your calculator will simplify it for you and give you 1/3. Okay, so you need to read the instructions, because here in the mark scheme it says 1/3 correct answer only. So anything else you get 0 marks. Right, there are 45 hazelnuts in the bag. Calculate the total number of nuts in the bag. So what do we have about hazelnuts? What information do we have? Well, we got that there are 45 hazelnuts, and also from the pie chart, hazelnut has got an angle of 108 degrees. Okay, so we can think of this kind of like a ratio. All right, 45 hazelnuts, 108 degrees. What we can work out is how much hazelnuts is 1 degree. Could do that. If we divide this by 108 and we divide that by 108, we will see that each 1 degree in the pie chart represents how many nuts? Let's do that. So 45 divided by 108. Okay, so that's 0.416. So each 1 degree represents 0.146 occurring of a nut. Why is this important? Well, if we know what 1 degree represents, we can work out what is 368 degrees. Why 360? Because that's the whole pie chart, and the whole pie chart represents all the nuts in the bag. So we just times that by 360. So we times this by 360. Okay, so there's no sweat. We still have that on our calculator. We just do times 360. And we got a nice around 150. So that makes sense. The whole pie chart, 360 degrees, is 150 nuts. That's one way of doing it. I hope you understood it. They got a different, well, they wrote it as a fraction times 360. Okay, 45 divided by 180 times 360. That's what we did. Question 8, straightforward calculated question. Square root 15. Make sure you use these arrows so we get out from underneath the square root. Fraction 4.8, 2.2. Okay, let's write it 6.0548. Etc. If you want to round it, 3 significant figures, 6.05. Okay, looking at the mark scheme, 6.05, okay, but if you write the unrounded answer on the line, you also get your mark. Right, Narina is investing money, smart girl, simple interest. Okay, so the moment you see simple interest, write down the formula for simple interest. Formula is interest, right? The extra money the bank gives you. Principal times rate times time divided by 100. Memorize this. Memorize it. Okay, so in that formula, what do we have? Well, let's start with the first number. She invests $5,400. That is called the principal, the original amount that she puts in the bank. That's the P. Then we got the rate, is how much the percentage the bank gives. You see, rates and the percentage. Now this we don't have. They just give an R, so instead we just put the little R there. Okay, this is times, so we put the little R. And the next thing, we got 3 years, that is the time. So that's times 3 divided by 100. And the last piece of information is the interest earned. This is how much extra money the bank gives her for investing the money there. That's why you put your money in the bank in the first place. You can get interest. Okay, so only the extras, not how much money she has in the bank. And that's for 129.3. So this goes over here where the I is. 0.30 or just 0.3. Now we can work this out. Let's first, everything divided by 100 times both sides by 100 or times the 100 over there. Okay, so that would be 429.3 times 100. And over here we can multiply the 3 and the 5,400. Gives us 16,200 times R, or we can just put R. 60,200 times R or just R. Okay, so the next step, let's multiply that 429.3 times 100. You probably know how to do this without a calculator. Anyway, so that's 52930. I'm just going to continue over here. And again, this is 16,200 times R, so we divide both sides by 16,200, or you divide the other side by 16,200, and that will give you the rate. So let's do that. We got it in our calculator. 4293 just divided by 16,200, and that gives us 2.65. Okay. That is now 2.65%. And if you know something about banks and money, that sounds like a reasonable amount. I mean, the bank is not going to give you a massive amount of interest. They're going to give you 100%, that will double your money. All right, 2.65 is a good, reasonable interest rate. Question 10. Give a geometrical reason why the value of A is 72. Well, what do we know about all these A's? Well, they go all around the point. So all of them together should be 360 degrees. That means if I do A plus A plus A, how many are there? 5? Yes. If I add them all together, it's good 360. Or even a quicker way to write that, you don't have to, it's just, there are 5 of them, so you do 5 times A, that's 5A. So to get A, we're going to have to divide the 5 on both sides, or on the other side. So that's just 360 divided by 5, and that gives you A equals 72. So you can give a geometrical reason. I don't think I did the right thing here. I worked out that A is 72, but what's the geometrical reason? They want you to write a sentence. What they want you to write is angles around a point equals 360 degrees. That's what I think. Angles 0.360. That's what they want to see. Angles 0.360, not the whole damn calculation. So that means, okay, first of all, this looks beautiful, but this is not what they asked for. This is what they asked for. Angles around a point equals 360. Read the question carefully that you write the correct thing. Okay. Expand brackets, be careful, these are not double brackets like in part 2. Part 1, these are two single brackets which we need to expand and then add together. Let me show you what I mean. 3 times 2d is 6d, and 3 times minus 3 is minus 9. That's the first bracket expanded. Second bracket, 4 times d is plus 4d, and 4 times 1 is plus 4. Okay, that's multiplying. Now we just add together. 6d plus 4d, that positive 4 goes with a d, that gives us 10d. And then we got minus 9 plus 4. So think of minus 9 on the number line, you move up 4, you're going to be at minus 5. Final answer, 10d minus 5. Okay, so you can have a factorized answer as well if you want. Next one, this is now double brackets. We need to do the first with the first, the first with the last with the first, and the last with the last. Yeah, you understand that? First with the first, x times x, x squared. Then x times minus 3, minus 3x. Remember, multiplying. Minus 4 times x, minus 4x. And here comes the one where everybody makes a mistake, always. This is not just 4 times 3, this is minus 4 times minus 3. Two negatives makes a positive. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, if you do like this, the middle term will always be able to add together. Minus 3, minus 4. Oh, now we're not multiplying, so two negatives do not make a positive. We're simply at minus 3 on the number line, and we move down another minus 4, which means we're now at minus 7. And then plus 12. So final answer, x squared minus 7x plus 12. As it says, final answer. Okay, to get full marks. That middle step, do counter marks to show as much working out as possible. Factorizing. This is now the opposite. When we make brackets, we need to find the common term, common factor of 8 and 3. There is none. The only common factor I see here is p. Take that p out, put it in front of a bracket, and then what's left there is an 8, a minus, a 3, and a q. Always double check, yeah? P times 8 is 8p, and p times minus 3q is minus 3q. That's it. It's done. Final answer. Okay. Without using a calculator, work this out. Okay, there's no harm in checking where we're going with this. Right? We're going 5 over 7 minus 2 over 3. Final answer, 1 over 21. Okay, be careful though, because if you just write the answer, you get 0 marks, because it looks like you used the calculator, which we did. So you need to show the steps in between. And for that, we need to get a common multiple. The lowest common multiple of the denominator. So what's for 7 and 3? Lowest common multiple is? Well, look at the 7 times 7, 14, 21 is in the 7 and the 3 times table. So you're going to want to multiply this by 3, top and bottom, gives you 15 over 21. Multiply this by 7, top and bottom, that gives you 14 over 21. Now that the denominators are the same, we can subtract 14. 15 minus 14 is 1, and the denominator stays the same. That shows all the working out. You see, you get 1 mark for 15 over 21 and 14 over 21, and then you get the answer mark depending on that one. Okay, for 1 over 21, because it says in its simplest form is what it should be. Is that clear? Once you got this mark, you get that mark. Question 13. X is an integer. Remember this word, integer means a whole number. no fractions, where x is bigger than minus 4 and x is smaller than 2. Write down all the possible values for x. So x is bigger than minus 4. What is bigger than minus 4? Minus 3. Okay. No, there's no line underneath, so it means we do not include minus 4. Alright, and then the next one. What is bigger than minus 3? Minus 2. Minus 1. 0. Okay, these are all integer values that it can be. Then, what's bigger than 0? 1. And then x is smaller or equal to 2. This time there is a line, so it means we include the 2. So that's where we stop. Okay. So from minus 4 upwards, not including minus 4, up to 2. There we go. Minus 3, minus 2, 1 to 0. Okay. If you got 5 correct and none incorrect, you get 1 mark. Or if you got an extra one, like you write minus 4, then you lose a mark as well. Right. Explain why the equation of the line L in the diagram cannot be y equals x plus 2. Okay, if you remember, the equation of a line is always y equals mx plus c, where m is the gradient. Right, so the gradient here is 1, because there's 1 in front of x, even though it's not there, it's there. And it's positive, it goes up. So gradient-wise, this line can be possible. Then the c is the y-intercept. That is what goes at the back. That is where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay. And here there's a plus 2. That means this line should be crossing at plus 2, which is over there somewhere probably. But this line is crossing below 0. So can't be positive. If it was minus 2, yeah, it was possible. But plus 2, no. Because the line crosses the y-axis below the 0. So you need to write something like that. Okay. The y-intercept is negative, or the y-intercept is below 0. That's my answer. Let's see if I would have gotten a mark. The line crosses the y-axis below 0, not above or equivalent. Yeah, I think I would have gotten my mark. Question 15. The area of a trapezium, the most forgotten formula in the history of school maths. What is the formula for the area of a trapezium? If you don't know this, write the to it on your forehead. Find a way to remember it. It's half a plus b times the height. Perpendicular height. Alright, what does it mean? A and B is the two parallel sides. So these are this is A, this is B. So what you're working like the average of the two sides. You add them together, you halve them. And then this is of course the height, the perpendicular height, the one that makes a 90-degree angle. So we'll have to do half 8.6 plus 14.2 times 7.5. Let's do that. 0.5 is a quick way to put in half. 8.6 14.2 times 7.5. Now we got 85.5. Don't round this. It's the exact answer. Okay, 2 marks. 1 mark for using the formula. You got a slightly different version there. 85.5. Right, question 16. The first moment you read circumference of a circle, circular point, write down the formula for the circumference of a circle. Okay, what is it? C equals, not pi r squared, that's area, pi d, or C equals pi, 2 pi r, of course, 2 pi r. Okay, again. Okay, tattoo this on your forehead. No, don't tattoo your forehead. Write it on the mirror. Every morning you brush your teeth, you read it there. Write it on the ceiling when you lie, if you lie in bed a lot. You read it, you remember it. Okay, so what do we have in this formula? It tells us the circumference is 130. So that is, okay, and I'm going to use the second formula because we want to know what is the radius. So to get the radius, I need to divide both sides of my equation by 2 pi, or divide the 2 pi on the other side. So that will be 130 divided by 2 pi will give us r, the radius. So let's do that. And there we get the answer. R equals 20.690, etc. If you're going to round this, round it to 3 significant figures. Next to the 6 is a 9, so you round it up to a 7, 20.7. Let's see. Yep, 20.7, or the unrounded answer. It also gives you full marks. Okay. Standard form, that is when we have a number times 10 and a number up there. So that number at the beginning should always be a 1 digit, 1 to 9. So that means we need to move the decimal point 1 to 3 places. So it becomes 7 or 7.0 times 10. We move the 7 pieces to the right. So it's a small number. So we move it 3 spaces to the right. So it's 10 to the power of minus 3. Okay, you don't have to put that 0 in. I was just being silly. Okay, you know there's a setting on your calculator. You can change it. So shift, setup. I want it on scientific notation, that is standard form. Then this picks the number of digits it's going to put. So if I'm going to put 3, you'll see 3 digits. So if I put 0.007 into my calculator equals, there we go, 7 times 10 to the power of minus 3. Because I put 3, there's 2 zeros. That doesn't mean anything. You can just put 7. Okay, switch it back. You press shift, setup. We want it in normal settings. So we press 8, press 1 or 2. I like 2. There we go. Same number now in normal format. Question 18. You see a right angle triangle. You immediately go, well, okay, Socatua or Pythagoras. Which one are we going to use here? Well, Socatua, there's always an angle involved. They give you an angle, you use it, or you want to know an angle. There's no angles involved here. Pythagoras has got to do with the 3 sides of the triangle. Okay, except that there is a 90-degree angle, which there must be. We don't use any of the other angles. Right, so first of all, let's get the hypotenuse. That is, of course, the longest side opposite the right angle. So Pythagoras states that the longest side, which in this case is 14 squared, equals the other 2 sides, which is 10 squared and 8 squared added together. We can rearrange that. Okay, we move the 10 there, so that means it's 14 squared minus 10 squared equals 8 squared. Okay, and then we're gonna also want to get rid of that square. So putting that square on the other side will give us square root. So it's 14 squared minus 10 squared. That will give us h. Right, so let's put that in our calculator. Just like that, to save time. Square root 14 squared minus 10 squared. 9.7979, etc. If you're going to round this, 3 significant figures. Next to the 9 is a 7. We round up to 9 or 79. It becomes 80. So it's 9.80. Putting that 0 to show I've rounded to 3 significant figures. Okay, so just 9.8 is fine. Full marks. I put the 0. Oh, you wrote the unrounded answer. Also full marks. Write down the Pythagoras theorem because it gives you marks. Okay. The perimeter of this triangle. Okay, we've just worked out that h is 9.80. perimeter means we need to add up all the sides. So that would be 14 plus 10 plus 9.8. Okay, so it's 14 plus 10 plus 9.8. We're going to be the most accurate possible. Still got that there. Add the 14, add the 10, 33.8, of course. And there we go. Or the unrounded one. Question 19, Venn diagrams, my favorite. Okay, don't be scared of them. Just practice them until you get them right. Use set notation to describe the shaded region in the Venn diagram. Okay, so if we look here, this shaded region is within circle A. So we know we're going to use A. It's also within circle B. So we know we're going to use circle B. Now it's just the sign. There's two signs, remember? There's union and intersection. Union means everything. That would have meant everything in A and everything in B and where they were at. So union would have been everything. So they would have shaded both if they wanted union. Okay, but it's not. It's not union. It's the other one, intersection. And that's when you put when it is in both. It is in A and it's in B. So that's what you need to put there. Not an N, a special N. Alright, where are we? There we go. Question 19. Intersection has to be correct. Part B, the elements of Y. This is Y. Y is the whole circle. So all the elements, all the things in there. Okay. So it's B, D, S, P, G. Are we going to put them alphabetically? I'm sure it doesn't have to be. Let's try. B, D, G, B, and S. I think it's alphabetically. You don't have to put it alphabetically, okay? B, D, G, P, S in any order, just to make that clear. They just need to be all there. Okay, doesn't have to be alphabetical. Right. Part 2. Well, there's a little N there. This is a different N. Okay, this means the number. Number. So how many letters? The number of letters in this case. Okay. In X, union. You see that? Union. Now is the other sign with Y. Remember what I said. Union means everything. Everything in X, everything in Y, or in both. So it's all the letters there. A, C, H, F, C, D, P, B, G. But now you don't write them all down like the previous one. We just say how many there is. You count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 letters in X union B. 9 it is. Simultaneous equations. Okay, they've lined them up nicely, so we will use the elimination method. That is where you get rid of the X or the Y. Now, they've done us a favor. You see the Y has got almost the same coefficient. There's a 2 in front of the Y. So that makes it easier. Okay. We just need to do the right thing. What is the right thing? Okay. Well, let me show you. If I'm going to subtract the one equation from the other one, right? Then at the top there I've got minus 2y. And then I'm going to subtract minus plus 2y. Okay, now minus and a plus is a minus. So that will give me minus 4y. And that's not what I want. I don't want a minus 4y. I want nothing. I want to eliminate the y. So subtracting them is not going to work. What happens if we add it? Well, minus 2y plus 2y, because there's a plus there and a plus there. It's the same as minus 2 plus y. That will be 0. That's what we want. We want to eliminate. They're gone. So we add them together. 3x plus 5x is 8x. Minus 2y plus 2y is nothing. 21 plus 51, it will be 72. So to get x, we need to do 72 divided by 8. And what is that? 9, isn't it? 71, 8 is 9. Okay. So, good. We got x. Now we need y. All we need to do is substitute that back into one of the equations above. I think the second one will be a little bit easier because working with positive numbers is just, in my opinion, is a little bit easier than negative numbers. There's less problems that can arise. So let's write that. So we got 5. Instead of x, we put 9 plus 2y equals 51. Okay, 5 times 9 being 45. Subtract 45 from both sides. That will give us 2y equals 6. Last step. 6 divided by 2 is 3. There we go. x9, y3. Question 21. Remember what I said? Right angle triangle. Immediately you think Pythagoras or SOHCAHTOA. And this time there's an angle involved. They've given us an angle. So you know, right, we're not going to be using Pythagoras. It's going to be SOHCAHTOA. Let's label the sides. Right, opposite the right angle. That's the hypotenuse. Opposite the angle. That's the opposite. So right next to the angle, that must be the adjacent. Right, which ones are we using? Well, they want to know the opposite, and we got the hypotenuse. They don't want to know the adjacent, and we don't have the adjacent, so that's not relevant. So it's O and H. O and H is the first ratio there. So you start by writing the S, of course, stands for sin, and then the angle is always the ratio, then the angle. Sin 56 equals, first is the O, so first is the opposite. First we put the X, and then the hypotenuse, which is 21.8. So to find X here, we simply need to move that to the other side. The divide becomes times, so it's 21.8 times sin 56. That will give us X. Let's put that in. There we go. So X is 18.073, etc. Rounded to 3 significant figures. Next to the 0 is 7, so you write the 0 up to a 1. 18.1. You don't have to write centimeters because the centimeters is already over there. So there you go. 18.1, or the unrounded answer. Get marks for your working out, so show it, please. Question 22. What is going on here? Okay. Oh my goodness. What have they done? What have they done? Find the value of m. Well, let's just do what we can, right? We can do 3 times 5 is 15. That's fine. But we can't multiply it by the 2 because the 2's got a little m there. That's in the way. It's like keeping it captive. Okay. What we can do now, we can get rid of the 15 by dividing both sides by 15, dividing the 15 on the other side. So we can do 120 divide by 15 because that's a time. So we divide. So what's that? 120 divided by 15. Is that 6? No. That's 8. Okay, so now we got 8 equals 2m. Right, what do we know about 8 and 2? Well, we're working here with indices. Little numbers at the top. So, 2 to the power of what equals 8? We know 2 squared is 4. 2 cubed is 8. So yeah, 2 cubed is the same as 8. So we can, instead of that 8, we can write 2 cubed. And that is equal to 2m. Now because the base numbers is the same, it means that and that is the same, means m equals 3. Okay, does that make sense? I hope so. 3 correct answer only. Traffic lights. Where I'm from, we call them robots. They flash, blink at you all day. Right. Changes red every 120 seconds. Another traffic light changes red every 144 seconds. Both change red at 10. Find the time which they next change to red together. Oh. How can we do this? There's many ways. Okay. You can write down the multiples. So that would be 240, 360, 480, 600, etc. This one has been a little bit harder, 288, and you add them up. Take you a while. You just add 432, and you just do that for a while. Don't know how long this is going to take you, but you'll get to the answer eventually. Let's do one more. 720. Wait a minute, isn't the next one 720? It worked. It worked. So that means after 720 seconds. Hey, it worked. Remember, this is another seconds. So after 720 seconds. I mean, there's another way to do it. I'll show you that way. Okay, but let's run with this. So, what time will they be the same again? Well, 720 seconds after 10 o'clock. So let's change that to minutes. 720 divided by 60, 12 minutes. So that's equal 12 minutes. So we just add that 12 minutes to 10 o'clock. And that will be 12 minutes past 10. Yep, that's right. That is right. Okay. So I use this method, listing times multiples of both. Yeah, I used that method. Okay. The other method is using factor trees, because what you're essentially looking for is a common multiple. All right. So let me explain that way. If you want to fast forward the video here, you're welcome. Skip this. Okay. Using a factor tree is this one, remember? Or a fishbone. You get the prime factor. So 120 divided by 20 is 60. Divided by 2 is 30. Divided by 2 is 15. Cannot divided by 2. Divided by 3 is 5. Divided by 5 is 1. So 120 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Let's do the same for 144 over here. So divided by 2, that's 72. Divided by 2, that's 36. Divided by 2, that's 18. Divided by 2, that's 9. Divided by 3, that's 3. Divided by 3, that's 1. So 144 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Okay, then we can get is the lowest common multiple. Okay, that's what we actually look at. We want the lowest common. No. First we get the highest common factor. Sorry. Highest common factor is all the factors they have in common. 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2. There's no more 2's in the first one, but there's a 3 there. So that will be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 being 4 times 2 is 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, now we want the lowest common multiple. So we take that 24 and we multiply it with what's left. The 2, a 5 and a 3. Okay, let's see if that works. 24 times 2 times 5 times 3. That's it. See? There you get it as well. So, different way of getting it. And of course, then that is equal to 12 minutes, which is 10 plus 12. That's the other way of doing it. If you maybe have bigger numbers and you can't, just write out the multiples. Question 23. Make m the subject of the formula. Okay. So, you need to get the m alone. You see? M equals. So you need to move everything to the other side. The question is always, what do you move first? The 7 or the plus 3? Okay, think about it like this. If m was a number, what's the first thing that happens to it? It gets divided by 7, and then you add 3. So if you're going the opposite way, you need to subtract 3 and then times 7. Okay, so it's going to look like this. First, you need to subtract the 3 from the cube. And then you need to multiply everything by 7. Everything, I mean everything. Okay, so that's the answer. 7 times q minus r. You can expand the brackets. So 7q minus 7r. I believe both those answers will be correct. Just make sure your equal looks like an equal and not like a don't know what. Okay, so let's have a look. Yeah, see? Either 7 bracket q minus r or expanded brackets. Okay, 1 mark for subtracting the r. Okay, and this is another complicated method which I'm not going to go into. But there you go. So remember, you always, whatever you move first is the furthest away from the letter you want. Question 24. Find the number of sides of this polygon. My goodness. What is going on here? Again, I think there's quite a few ways to do this. Yeah. Let's just look at that. What do I see? I see 2 angles on a straight line. Remember, 2 angles on a straight line equals 180 degrees. When you add them together, so let's write that down. So the one angle is 7x plus 44. If we add to that the other angle, x plus 8. You don't need the brackets really. Okay, they should equal to 300. No, not 360. Angles on a straight line, 180. So let's add together what we can. You leave the 180 there for now. 7x plus 1x is 8x. 44 plus 8 is 52. Now we can work out what x is just by rearranging things and subtracting. So subtract 52 from both sides, or subtract 52 from the other side. So that will give us 8x equals 128. And then divide both sides by 8, or divide the 8 on the other side. So that will give us, what's that? That's going to be a decimal, no? 16. X is 16. Right, we're making progress. So now that we know x is 16, we can work out the actual size of the angles. Okay, so the exterior angle, this angle here, will be 16 plus 8, which is 24. We can work out the interior angle, but this is not relevant actually, because what do we know about exterior angles of any polygon? It always equals to 360. Remember this, very important. Okay, don't ever forget it. Exterior angles of any polygon is always 360. So that means all we need to do now is do 360 divided by 24, because that's just how big this angle is. It's 24 degrees. 360 divided by 24, and the answer is 15 sides. There we go, 15 sides. 2 marks for getting x 16, 1 mark for writing that equation. There, 360 divided by that gives you the answer. Okay, and that was the last question. It was the hardest one, and then you finish, you've done it. Well done, good luck, work hard, reap the rewards. See you soon.